100 years ago, America's entry into the First World War was the catalyst for the creation of Fort Knox. The war ushered in monumental changes to the United States and its Army. It initiated the cavalry's transition to a mechanized force, which played a key role in the establishment of Fort Knox as a major military installation. During the summer of 1918, the small farming community of Stithton, Kentucky, and the surrounding 10,000 acres were acquired by the War Department for the establishment of a field artillery training site. As a reflection of its relationship to artillery, the cantonment was named Camp Knox in honor of General Henry Knox, Chief of Artillery during the Revolutionary War and the first United States Secretary of War. By October of 1918, Camp Knox was fully operational, with a hospital, camp newspaper, and the first airfield in Kentucky, Godman Army Airfield. Following the armistice on November 11, 1918, Camp Knox was utilized as a discharge point for returning World War I soldiers. By 1922, reductions in the Army force resulted in Camp Knox being utilized mainly by the National Guard and Reserve officer training. Due to limited military use, from 1925 through 1928, Camp Knox was designated as Camp Henry Knox National Forest. In 1928, 2 infantry companies were assigned permanent duty at Camp Knox by the War Department. In 1931, on the recommendation of Lieutenant Colonel Adna R. Chaffee Jr. and Colonel Daniel Van Voorhees, Camp Knox was selected as a new headquarters for the mechanized cavalry. On January 1, 1932, Camp Knox became Fort Knox, and once again designated a permanent military installation. Construction began on new housing and support facilities for the 1st Cavalry Regiment, who were transferred to Fort Knox without their horses, and redesignated the 1st Armored Regiment. During the Great Depression, the camp area was also utilized as an induction center for the Civilian Conservation Corps. Enrollees spent 2 weeks at the camp receiving their shots, clothing, and training before being shipped out to work camps throughout the United States. In 1936, construction began on the Treasury Department's famed Gold Depository, making the phrase "built like Fort Knox" an expression of the ultimate in security and protection. Fort Knox soldiers provided humanitarian and security assistance to Louisville and surrounding towns during the catastrophic flooding of the Ohio River in the winter of 1937. Once again, world events and the United States' entry into a world war would bring great change to Fort Knox. In 1940, the United States Army Armored Force was created and headquartered at Fort Knox. This command controlled all tanks and infantry and mechanized cavalry units. Selective Service ordered thousands of citizen soldiers to the newly established Armored Force School and Armored Force Replacement Center for basic and tank training. Following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Fort Knox saw a building boom of barracks and additional support structures for the influx of troops and equipment. Godman Army Airfield became a crew member training station of B-25 Mitchell medium bombers. From 1944 to 1946, Fort Knox housed an Italian and German prisoner of war camp. Throughout the Korean War, the Cold War era, Vietnam, Bosnian, and Gulf Wars, Fort Knox would maintain its role as a major military training post and the home of armor. By the end of the first decade of the 21st century, the military role of Fort Knox would once again see major changes. In 2005, the Base Realignment and Closure Commission ordered the relocation of the Armor Center and School to Fort Benning, Georgia. However, change and successful adaptation to the needs of the nation have always been a sustaining quality of the Fort Knox community. Today, Fort Knox uniquely boasts the sole responsibility for all soldier career management, from swearing in to departing service. Units include Army Cadet Command, Army Human Resources Command, and Army Recruiting Command, along with the 1st U.S. Army Division East, 1st Theater Sustainment Command, 100th Training Division, 84th Training Command, Army Reserve Aviation Command, 19th Engineer Battalion, Ireland Army Health Clinic, and other partners in excellence, making Fort Knox among the most multi-command, multifunctional military installations in the United States Army. The past is still present at Fort Knox, which maintains its heritage through the preservation and reutilization of many of its historic buildings and landmarks.